Hello, beautiful people of the internet. How are you doing today? My name is Jackie and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today in this video, I want to talk about all the books that I am planning on reading in March 2019. Now, usually I'm not the kind of person who makes a TBR just because I'm very much a mood reader. I could tell myself, okay, this month I want to read these things, but then if I end up not being in the mood for that, I end up not getting to it. So it's really hard for me to pick a TBR and stick with it. However, this month is a little different because there are a lot of books that I really want to get to and also some books that I do have to read this month, either because I'm finishing them up or I have to read them for school in the month of March. I think I might actually get a lot of reading done this month, more than I usually do, so I just wanted to lay out in this video all the books that I am planning on reading in March. First off, I have two books that I am carrying over from February. By the time you're seeing this video, I will have already finished them. The first of these is Bleak House by Charles Dickens. This is one of the books that I had to read for my Victorian novels class this semester at college. This book is my first Dickens. I really have wanted to read him since he's such a well-known and prolific author. Now, when I originally signed up for this class, I was assuming we would probably read Great Expectations or A Tale of Two Cities, both of which were more well-known and which I had a greater interest in reading. In fact, I'd never heard of Bleak House until it was assigned on my syllabus. This is a very hard book to describe because there is so much going on in it and so many characters and so many subplots. My professor actually made a worksheet with all the characters on it so that we can take notes as we're reading and keep them all straight in our head. Bleak House is told by two different narrators. One is an omniscient third-person narrator, and the other is Esther Summerson. Now, Esther grows up not knowing who her parents are. She is raised by a guardian, and then she suddenly is taken in by John Jarndyce, who lives at Bleak House, and she ends up finding out who her parents really are, and there's this sort of mystery surrounding Esther's history. This book does have lots of little mysteries in it that you need to decipher. There's one point where a murder happens, we get the reveal about Esther's parentage, and there's just a lot of stuff going on in this book, so I don't even know how to summarize it because it is such an eclectic mix of different genres, and it's a really unique book. It's also trying to make a social commentary on the Chancery Court system in Victorian England and how that could negatively affect people's lives. And part of the way that Dickens is trying to accomplish this message about the convoluted and unnecessarily jumbled Chancery Court process is by writing a book that is almost 1,000 pages with lots of weird, unrelated subplots. And so while stylistically I can appreciate what he's trying to do, it's not the greatest reading experience for me personally. The other book that I'm carrying over from February is The Constant Princess by Philippa Gregory. Now, this is my first Philippa Gregory novel. I have watched the TV and film adaptations of her works, like the movie The Other Boleyn Girl, or the miniseries they've made, The White Queen and the White Princess, and the next one that's going to become a miniseries is The Constant Princess, so I decided, before the miniseries comes out, I will read this book. Now, the thing is, I know from watching those series and that movie that Philippa Gregory does not always write historically accurate. She does change things for dramatic effect, which is understandable when you're writing historical fiction. However, reading this book, I found myself so incredibly frustrated by how historically inaccurate it was and some of the things that she added in there that did not actually happen. It was very frustrating, especially when I had to be in the head of a certain character who was behaving in a way that he historically did not behave, and it just was very inappropriate and very uncomfortable. I also just do not like how this book is written. I don't think the writing style is good, to be completely honest. I think it can be very info-dumpy and none of the characters resonate with me emotionally. Truthfully, I probably should have DNF'd this book. However, by the point I considered DNFing it, I was already 50% of the way through. So I've decided to power through and finish this book. I am not liking it, I am not enjoying it, and I will give more specific reasons as to why when I do my wrap-up, because there actually are some quotes and passages I would like to cite to explain why I have so many problems with The Constant Princess. The next book that I really want to read in March is one of my 5-star predictions, and that is The Female of the Species by Mindy McGinnis. This is a young adult book about a girl named Alex. Now, Alex's sister was murdered a couple years ago. However, the killer was never brought to justice. Still devastated over her sister's death, Alex decides that she is going to take matters into her own hands. This book does have trigger warnings for animal cruelty and also talk about rape culture, and sexual harassment. So if those are triggering to you, this may not be the book for you. Now, the reason I put this on my 5-star predictions is because I absolutely love revenge stories. I don't know why, but I just find them so interesting and compelling, and I really like morally gray characters. I'm also hoping, since this book talks about rape culture in our society and also how women are pitted against each other, that it will have a really great feminist message, which I absolutely love in books. Another one of my 5-star predictions that I might get to in March, but I'm not entirely sure, is Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. This is a classic thriller novel, which just sounds amazing to me. I am really excited to read this book, and I have very high hopes for it. However, because of how many classics I'm going to be reading this month, I don't know if I will have time to fit this one in. I might be a little overloaded on classics. So I don't know if I'm actually going to get to this book in the month of March. However, I do want to read it really soon because I am just so excited for it. And I really think I'm going to love this. I think this book might become one of my new all-time favorites. That's a very high expectation, I know, but that's honestly how I feel. I also have a readathon that I want to participate in March. Starting, I believe, March 10th is Rereadathon, and there is one book that I have really wanted to reread for quite a while. However, I never found an opportunity or an excuse to reread it. And when I heard about Rereadathon, I thought this is the perfect time for me to go back to this book and revisit it. And that is The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. This is one of my favorite books of all time. However, I only read it once during my junior year of high school, and I remember really loving it, but I want to experience it again. And I'm also trying to decide what really is my favorite book of all time, because before The Great Gatsby was my token answer and people would ask, I'm the kind of person who is really bad at choosing favorites because I just like too many things. So picking one that is just above all else is really difficult for me. However, I recently reread Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen back in December, I believe it was, and I really, really loved that book when I read it again. So now I'm trying to decide, is Pride and Prejudice my all-time favorite? Or is it The Great Gatsby? I remember really loving the story of Gatsby, and I really remember loving F. Scott Fitzgerald's writing and his way with words. However, the characters and the romance in Pride and Prejudice just really resonate with me, so I'm trying to figure out which one is my favorite book. I definitely think I'll enjoy rereading this book though, even if it is not my all-time favorite, even if I decide that I like Pride and Prejudice more. This is still gonna be up there among my all-time favorites, and it's also really short, so I think I can definitely knock that one out pretty quickly. And the final book that I definitely have to get to in March is another book from my Victorian novels class. I don't really know how to describe this book, because to be honest, I'd never heard of it before this class, and that is Adam Bede by George Eliot. I've heard of George Eliot. I know that she is the author of Middlemarch. However, I've never heard of this novel. I think it is actually the first one that she's ever written. So I really can't give you a good summary about what this book's about because I have absolutely no idea. I guess I will find out when I start reading it. All I know about it is that it takes place in a rural setting somewhere in rural England, and it follows the lives of ordinary, everyday people in this small town, and that's about all I know. I don't know if it's a romance, a social commentary. I have absolutely no idea what this is about. I'm assuming Adam Bede is the main character. Maybe he's the narrator. I have absolutely no clue. So guys, those are all the books that I want to read in March. This is quite a lot of books for me in 1 month. Usually if I can read 3 or 4 books a month, that's a good reading month for me. However, if I end up actually finishing all these books in March, I think I'm going to have to do just a plain old monthly wrap-up. Usually I do bi-monthly wrap-ups because I don't read enough in 1 month to justify an entire video. However, if I can get all of this done, That would be an amazing reading month for me and definitely justify its own wrap up. Let me know if you've read any of the books that I mentioned in this video and what you thought of them. Please give this video a like if you enjoyed, and I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel if you want to see more from me. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye, and I hope to see you in the next video.